So this is a new take on a pomander. We made many, many pomanders in my career as an event designer. Usually it's just the rounded with hydrangeas and spray roses for the flower girl, right? So I thought, let's do a new take on the pomander. Instead of making it all round, maybe we can make it airier and different. So it's all the rage to have alternative bouquets right now. So the brides are doing the purses, the cascading bouquets that are just really light and airy, as well as hanging bouquets. So this is my take on like a new style pomander. What we have for our focal flower are these roses from my garden. This is a great rose from Jackson Perkins called Royal Wedding. I don't think they have this anymore, but I have a hedge of these. So this is actually still in bloom. It's never out of bloom, and the blooms last a long time. And it's a fabulous rose. It's a beautiful color. So I always like to bring something from my garden to show everyone, right? So this is my take on a modern pomander. I've never done this before, so let's see how it goes. I kind of have to conceptualize it, but then I don't want to like do it all, right?
So when you go to the market, do you have a concept in your brain?
You know, this is, yeah, it's really different. When I do weddings, I use a spreadsheet, right? Because you calculate out what you need for each thing, and you do a spreadsheet and you order everything. And then I leave a little leeway for, you know, perfect things that I see at market. But this is totally different. When I do a show, I have a concept like what containers I'm going to use, what type of arrangement. But I was telling my friend Anita, who's my assistant today, that this is hard because you have to have a good idea of what you're doing, but you also need to be open. Because maybe you want something and it's not available. Or something amazing grabs your attention and you just have to use it. So I have an idea of, I definitely know what arrangements I'm going to be doing, but I'm open to the materials. So this is Cosmos. I grew Cosmos this year and it's kind of a disaster. So I planted it, you know, in a flower bed, and it gets way too much nutrients and water. So my Cosmos are like 8 feet tall, and there's like 3 blooms. Yes, so I Googled it, of course, and AI told me that I need to plant it somewhere where it's a little bit more droughty, more poor soil conditions. So next year, maybe I will.
How big is your garden? It sounds like it's huge.
It's actually not huge. I have about 2/3 of an acre. Well, over 2 properties. I live next door to my parents. We bought the houses new, so there were 2 lots next to each other in 2000. And I said, no, you should do it. You guys need to buy the lot next to us because we'll never have this opportunity again. And so they did. And so that's why we have kind of a large lot. We were lucky to have a new house with a large lot. So this is the clematis in my garden. It's obviously not in bloom, but then the greenery is so beautiful, right? It's got kind of a woody stem, has some body to it, like it's wired almost. So I like it even just for the greenery. So I was like kind of obsessed with these hanging arrangements. I was going to do like a bird cage I was hanging too, but you can see that on my YouTube channel. I did one where we're doing a bird cage arrangement, but it's not within the bird cage. It comes out of the bird cage, so the bird cage is just really kind of almost like a hanger for it. We have some of this Tweedia.
So Katherine, when your clients come to you for a wedding, with the fluctuating prices in the flower market, how are you able to ensure you get there?
Well, it's really hard. I actually retired during the pandemic. So I have to say the prices for flowers have gone up a lot since 2020. I'm always shocked. You know, like stock used to be $4.50, $6.50 a bunch. Now everything at Torchio is $12.50. I figure if I don't know how much it is, it's at least $12.50. So it's really hard. So with wedding work, you have a lot of margin, but you don't have the same margin on each item. So like centerpieces are the lowest margin, and then bouquets are high margin. Obviously, boutonnieres and corsages are high margin. So overall, you have a pretty good margin. So you're not going to know exactly how much each thing's going to cost at market, but you have a good idea of how much roses are, how much hydrangeas are, you know, like the bulk of the flowers. And so you kind of quote accordingly, and then I don't go back to my clients and go, oh, this is more expensive this week. I feel like that's sort of a bait and switch. So if something's extra expensive that week and it's part of the quote, I just kind of eat the difference. But I think different florists have different ways to deal with this. So yeah, when everything came to a standstill during the pandemic, I retired because, you know, when you're doing weddings every week, you're just used to the treadmill, basically. We're booking 6 to 12 months ahead. So you're doing consultations, you're booking them, and so you've got your next year's calendar filling up, and you don't know any different. And all of a sudden, everything came to a standstill. And we had a lot of weddings on the books that turned into backyard weddings, so they were scaled way back. So we just did the bridal bouquet, maybe 1 or 2 centerpieces. I mean, if you guys remember, it was just like parents. They would have weddings with like 8 people in their backyard type of thing, because we had, you know, serious lockdowns. And then you know you're not booking ahead because nobody knew when the lockdowns were going to be lifted. And so for the first time in a long time, you are not booked. And I thought, I kind of like not going to Livermore every Saturday in 100-degree heat. And you realize how burnt out you are from doing all the weddings. So I always tell people think, you know, being a wedding florist, it's a lot of fun. I don't know, some of you professional florists here, you are, yes. So, you know, they think you go around designing all day. But no, it's like, it's project management. It's a lot like catering, actually. So I often hire people who have restaurant experience or who have catering experience. It's not like I'm designing all day. The designs are pretty much, you know, every bride thinks, you know, this is like the newest thing, but they all want exactly the same thing. Right? And so you know exactly what you're going to be doing. You know, for a while it was peach roses and eucalyptus and Dusty Miller. And now I think they like the more botanical. Now it's even harder because they have Pinterest. So they come with these crazy things that are AI generated, and they're like, can we do that? Then you have to educate them on, you know, it's going to be 100 degrees outdoors. Probably can't do that.
How did you attach the ribbon holder to your...
This is a netted pomander. Now, it's hard to buy those. You can't find them anywhere. So I have a hack for you. You know those avocado nets from like Costco? Save them. You could just put a sphere in there, tie it off on both ends, and then just hook it. Yes, I'm always hoarding things like that. I did a very popular video where we did these envelopes and flowers in these envelopes. So I'm like, what can I put in there to make it watertight? So you know what I found we can use? You know those chicken broth cartons? Or like soy milk? If you cut them in half, it's like the perfect, skinny, watertight container. So I'm going to use a little bit of Annabelle hydrangeas that I have growing in my garden. Annabelles are great if you want to add a hydrangea to your garden. Look at them. They're just gorgeous. And they bloom on new wood, so we cut it to the ground every year. And they can take a little more sun, especially in our heat here. They're a lot more resilient than your large leaf hydrangeas. Just using it kind of in the background to fill in. So yeah, you do get burnt out doing weddings because, so little of it is actual design, and all the stuff I'm showing you, most of this we can't really do for a wedding, right? Because you're working with your budget. You have to be able to replicate this if it's a centerpiece or something over, 20, 30 of them. And so it's been really fun to be retired and do whatever I want. And yeah, it's nice to be retired. And I could do things like this. So now I do a lot of presentations at garden clubs, and now OFAD. Stephen asked me to do OFAD last year, and I looked at all your designs, and I go, I don't think I'm a good fit. I said, I'm not a very high concept designer. And he asked me again this year. He did my garden club presentation, so I owed him one. But I'm glad I'm here. So it's a different perspective. Driving over here, I was talking to my husband in the van. I said, I think if I were to do an analogy in art history, the designers here are like the abstract expressionists or the cubists. And I'm more of like maybe an impressionist. But no, the designs are really beautiful. Pomanders take way more flowers than you think, but I think I'm done. So sort of, I'm going to just show you. It's like airy and light. Yeah. Okay, so this is a gold ring that I bought on Amazon. It was like $10. And the nice thing is it had a little square area here for a tray. So all this is, it's a loamy tray glued onto this gold hoop. This is like a double hoop, so it has a little more volume and body than the single hoop. So I have the greenery here, and I just kind of wound it around into a wreath shape here. That's one of the devices I love to use. Like, I do this often. We'll do like an urn container or something like that. And then if it's in the spring, we have beautiful climbing roses, and we'll do like an arch wreath with the climbing roses and the other garden roses inside. This is a little different. We're going to do a little bit more modern take on that arrangement because it's OFAD. I want to be with the cool kids, So we're going to do something a little different. So this is a really fun greenery. It looks a little bit like a eucalyptus, but it's not. I even asked the guy, the greens guy, and he told me the name, but of course I forgot. It's not Veronica. I don't even know. I guess I should have Google imaged it, but of course I will. And a lot of it is like the tips like want to wilt. So it's like a little bit wilty. I'm just putting a little bit around the base. Hope you guys are okay that I pre-did some of this stuff just because I only have 2 hours. You guys are sophisticated. You know how to do this. So, Stephen, what is this called?
It is an acacia.
An acacia? Oh. Okay. The guy I bought it from told me some long name. And I said, oh, okay. And then, of course, I forgot it in like 2 minutes. Okay. Yeah, I'm bad at that kind of stuff. So this is Nerine. This is probably the most expensive flower I bought at market. Nerine. They come in white and this pale pink. What other colors? Just white and pale pink? Hot pink, yeah. Yeah.
It's acacia silver pearl.
Okay, it's acacia silver pearl. Okay.
You
Now I remember. But he didn't say acacia. Acacia I would have remembered. He said some really long name, probably Latin. So this is a little bit more modern arrangement.
Did the Noreen come from Torchio also?
Everything came from Torchio except for the dahlias. I had to go outside of Torchio. I walked by Fagoni, and their dahlias were just unbelievable. I'm like, I have to have some dahlias.
They call it probably Reforma.
Probably. Yeah, exactly.
Just call it silver wattle.
Okay, well, silver acacia, that's easy, right? This is a beautiful rose called Faith. It's like kind of a mauve-y lavender. I just thought it was like a perfect color with the nerine. It was supposed to be an all-white arrangement, but there were no white nerine blossoms, only the pale pink, so I just had to improvise. So I have this pretty lavender mauve, like the pink version of that lavender scabiosa. Just really went with the pale pink, mauve-y pale pink colors.
Did you grow the scabiosa?
I did not. I bought this at Torchio. I have some scabiosa, but they're just like the very ordinary lavender ones, you know. So I don't grow vegetables or fruits other than lemons in my garden because I think the flowers are more rewarding. I think it was during the pandemic I tried to grow lettuce. It was kind of a big epic fail. I mean, okay, I grew them, but there were like a ton of aphids on them, so you have to wash it like 10 times. And then you cut it and it's like one salad. I'm like, oh, it's not worth it. Not worth it. Yeah.
What was the large pink flower in the middle at the base?
Oh, I put a pink hydrangea in the, yeah. Just so it covers our foam. So my channel, I try to teach different ways to present flowers in your home. And, you know, most people just do flowers for entertaining, right? So instead of just buying something from, and most people just go to the grocery store and buy a mixed bouquet and then, or a dozen roses and plop in a vase. So I'm trying to inspire them to do something different. Collect interesting containers. You know, the gift box is like from Home Goods. It's like $10. But it's an interesting way to present flowers. Like if you brought that as a hostess gift to someone's house, they would remember that, right? I just put out a video last week, and I do this periodically, where the challenge is to do $20 Trader Joe arrangements, but make them look really expensive. And so that's always really popular because I think, you know, I think a lot of people who work in offices are looking for a creative outlet. And I think, you know, doing flowers would be a great one. And it doesn't have to be really expensive. It doesn't have to be really intimidating. I just want people to, you know, have access to the information. Here's some really pretty little grasses. Just thought it was a cute little, just fun texture. So at first I visualized this wreath made from like a variegated grass, but there were none. I couldn't even find bear grass at market. So I said, okay, we'll go to plan B. So this silver acacia is pretty nice. I actually like it better. Well, I think it's okay. I put this in foam about on Wednesday, so it's okay. Yeah. See, the tips are like kind of wilted. Maybe it's just too tender. I'm just trying to cover the foam here. But I kind of want to keep it that silvery color, so I didn't want to use those greenery, those different greens that I cut from the garden today. You guys can see better than me if the foam's showing. Okay. And I thought to cover our the top of our arch here, you know, where I have it bound with a wire, I would put some stephanotis in. So I grew the most incredible stephanotis this year. I couldn't believe it. There were two $17 plants from Trader Joe's. You know, they come in a little wreath, and in the spring they have them. They're like $17.99. I planted them in two containers with an obelisk, and they bloomed like crazy. Yeah, so if you ever see them, buy some.
Yeah, but what's your growing conditions?
That is like a perfect place. Okay, so I live in Walnut Creek, so we sometimes will get frost in the winter, so it's like sheltered under the pergola, but it gets full morning sun till about 1 o'clock, and then it's shaded. And then in the winter, there's like it's not quite an overhang, it's like a pergola, so it's like sort of sheltered. And I figured if it's really, really going to be a hard frost, I would go out and like throw something over it. So here we have our circle arrangement. I got this one. Yeah. Okay. It's just a basket. I have a plastic liner tray in there and floral foam. Now this was one of those impromptu arrangements that came together because when I was buying the dahlias, I saw the nasturtium. And I thought, oh, I have to do an arrangement with a nasturtium. So this I bought from Fagoni, and I thought it'd be really sweet to do a basket arrangement with the nasturtium cascading out. I've never used nasturtium before.
They hold up pretty well.
They do? Okay. It was kind of hard to use. When I bought it, it's just in a bunch, and then when you unwind it, it's like kind of a mess.
You know they are edible.
Yes, I do know that. My husband, their old house, his parents' house, had this huge amount of nasturtium, just growing wild. I think it's a little bit hot where I am for nasturtium. My parents' family lived in Berkeley, where you can grow anything. So I love all these like gardeny type of floral materials. So I'm just letting the nasturtium kind of cascade horizontally out of the basket because, you know, it just grows like that, right? Kind of all over the ground. I cut a notch in the floral foam because I want the basket handle to show. I don't want it to ride too high. When I do basket arrangements, I always like the handle to show, and I just want this to be really a horizontal orientation. Okay. Such a beautiful tendrily piece. Maybe we'll put it in the middle here. I don't know how people do weddings and events when you just order from a wholesaler. Because I've always, you know, had access to the San Francisco flower market. I would think it's really hard to just order from a wholesaler, right? Huh? And boring.
You never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah, see, that would be very stressful. Like, you don't know if what you ordered is any good. I mean, has anyone ordered from those online flower purveyors, like 50 Flowers or 50 Fleurs or whatever? No? I'm too much of a control freak to just leave it like that. When we were doing this, Stephen sent us all the order forms from Torchio, like, this is what's available, send me your orders by July 15th. I immediately called him and go, Stephen, can I just go to Torchio and buy? Because I can't work like that. I'm adding in the giant dahlia to kind of anchor all this kind of weedy stuff.
What color would you say those dahlias are?
You know, I don't know. It's like the cafe au lait dahlias, but they're lighter than the cafe au laits. I just loved that. It has a little bit of yellow champagne in it. I'm not sure if it's just a lighter version of a cafe au lait. I don't know. Because they have at the grower like a chart of the names of the different dahlias, but I didn't go over to look. I don't know the names of any of the dahlias. I'm going to use some of the Tweedia in here. I thought the blue is going to be really sweet with the nasturtium. And I have some white roses here. This is from my garden called Pure Perfume. Don't know if I want to use that. I might just not. I might just do the Cosmos. The Cosmos as a cut flower is so cute. Just want this to be like a very whimsical, gathered from the garden looking arrangement. Okay, I think we're mostly done. Some of this Veronica. We're done with our little sweet basket arrangement.